Good evening, and welcome to the new Metro Detroit Resource Network, formerly known as Mixing It Up with Barry Ross. We're live tonight on It's Web TV. Call us. We encourage you to get involved in this show. You're going to want to get involved in this show. I got a hot show tonight. Call-in numbers 248-996-8954. We're live in Southville, Michigan, right side, outside of downtown Detroit. 248-996-8954. This is It's Web TV. The new Metro Detroit Resource Network is a resource conglomeration of different aspects of the networks within the city of Detroit, divisions within government, the best of restaurants, entertainment, concerts, you name it. You're going to want to be involved. This new network is going to be the place to be. Every single part of the city of Detroit within government is going to be available to you under one umbrella. So tonight, I work very closely with Crime Stoppers in Detroit, and I'm the founder of Detroit Coalition Against Violence, as many of you know. And if you don't know, you need to know. I go on the streets and march for families that have had murders in their home. I support other groups. We go out within the communities in Detroit where severe acts of violence have occurred. So once a week, I have a different, unfortunately, a family that's experienced a loss to murder, violence within the city of Detroit on my show. And this week, I have with us Mr. Tom Staten. Thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure to be
Thank
here.
You are with Crime Stoppers. Tell everybody what you do in Crime Stoppers.
Man, I do a lot. Before I even start there, I just want to talk about the families. I get to meet many of the families that come in that you see on those broadcasts out to the community. Where have you seen my child or the murderer of my child? Do you know who killed my son? And man, let me tell you, just last week we had a family that came in and they had the obituary, everything of this young 17-year-old man who was really actually one of the leading students in his high school. I mean, gave the valedictorian speech, and someone walked up and shot this young man, and we sat there and just actually cried with the family. What I do though at Crime Stoppers is run the campus program. That is, we've developed and rebranded a program called Project Safe Campus, which is going out to all of the high schools throughout the Metro Detroit area, DPS, non-DPS, EAA, as well as the about 8 schools in the suburbs as well. So we're trying to change, not just get tips in, culture, but we're trying to change the culture, because I truly believe you got to push it down further and further and get to the bottom generation in order to have lasting effect.
It seems like we have lost a specific generation of youth already. And if we can start, like you said, if we can start matriculating down to the younger youth and let them know, we talked about this no snitch thing. Right. This no snitch thing. The youth have the wrong idea what a snitch is. It is. If I rob a house, if I do a B&E with my boy.
Right, with me.
With you. If we do a B&E, and I tell on you, then I'm a snitch.
That's right.
But if your neighbor gets raped, shot, or an act of violence is caused within that home, it's your civic duty to get involved. That you're telling, you're not snitching.
That's not snitching. That's community protection, personal protection. I tell the young people all the time. In fact, the way I got into this 6 months ago, I've been a high school basketball coach. I've been a semi-pro basketball coach. I've been a youth minister and pastor for almost 20 years now. So my whole life has really been surrounded with youth and been involved with youth. And I ask God to give me greater impact. So I get a call from Crime Stoppers saying, hey, how would you like to go talk to all of the kids in the Detroit public school system and all of the kids in the AA and all the kids in 7 counties? It's absolutely wonderful. But that is really, I truly believe it's a part of that whole hype thing. I like rap, especially positive rap.
Right.
But see, it was just like a few years ago when everything was about, and rap was about,
Gangsta.
I got my Gap and I'm selling drugs. And then they found out that most of these guys weren't even doing those things. Some of them were college educated from rich families. But it was the same thing with the hype situation, where they got that from the prisons, right? That no snitch and anti-snitch thing. They even had one of the basketball players, Carmelo, kind of on one of the rap videos, Anthony. Remember? And he later recanted. I don't know how much NBA pressure, but he later recanted. And he said it was just kind of a joke for him. But one of the things, as he said, that you got to realize, just like the pants hanging down over your butt, that everything that comes from the prison that they glorify, they're doing it because it makes money. They want that whole gangster rap thing has made money for someone who's not a gangster rapper. Okay, so as we move forward, just helping that, I'm going to tell you, once you expose them to that and you ask the question, if your boy was getting ready to get jumped on by a rival gang, are you going to tell, or a rival group of people coming to retaliate,
knowing he's coming,
knowing they're coming, are you going to tell me that you're not going to tell anybody, that you're going to let your boy go down in a hell of bullets or whatever, and then say, well, I knew, but I didn't want to snitch? Come on, of course you're going to tell.
Right. Let me, if we can just back up for a minute.
Yes.
Let's let everybody know, for those that don't know, number one, Crime Stoppers is a nationwide institution. Yes. The crux of Crime Stoppers is to make available to the communities at large, through flyers, through rewards, that people can go out in the community and turn in the perpetrators of the crimes,
yes.
right? So let's say, God forbid, somebody gets murdered, and we have a suspect at large, and we have an idea who it is. Put out a flyer, put a reward on it, and it goes in the community.
Yes.
And Crime Stoppers has a phone number that what?
1-800-SPEAK-UP. You can. Here's the great part about it. A great example is the recent shooter on I-696 or I-96. They have a person of interest for sure. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Who was just arraigned today.
Okay, go on.
He was just arraigned today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we're not sure if one of our tips really caught him or not, but we had over 1,000 tips come into Crime Stoppers.
Wow.
Just in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Just in the last 2 weeks. We only offered $200 from Crime Stoppers because no one was killed. We only offer up to $2,500 from Crime Stoppers for information needing for a homicide. But for this particular thing, we offered $2,000. But what it did was it encouraged the ATF and the FBI to come up with $50,000 apiece. So there was $100,000,
wow.
and $2,000 reward for this guy who's going around shooting at cars and people.
Over 10 people, I think, got shot on the expressway.
Exactly.
That's in
it
Southfield.
was awful.
Listen, excuse me. Tell them that the phone number is what?
1-800-SPEAK-UP.
And what about that number?
Though that number is an anonymous tip line. It actually goes to a call center in Toronto, Barry, and that's what most people don't realize. They say, how can it be anonymous with all of the caller ID and everything? It goes across international lines. The FBI and the Detroit Police Department have tried, especially in the case of homicides and tips that have led to great information for homicide, they have tried to break that code of silence, that code of anonymity, and by law, they were unable to get that information. Now, we do, once that tipster gets that tip number and calls in to Crime Stoppers with that number, we have in the notes that, hey, the police really would like to talk with you about your information. Are you willing to talk to them? And if so, then we provide them with a number, and it's totally up to them whether they want to come forward as a witness or not.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you. But the information, it's like CSI on TV.
All right. Now,
sometimes it's that piece of information that breaks the case.
Now, every state is run autonomously. Yes. Michigan is run independent.
Yes.
John Broad is the president of Michigan's. Yes.
Actually, it's even better than that. There's over 1,200 Crime Stoppers all over the nation. In Michigan, there's actually 7 Crime Stoppers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's right. We happen to be the largest Crime Stoppers of Michigan, which covers the 7 counties in southeastern Michigan. So, of course, we call Detroit. By the way, this is the first year that more tips came from the suburbs than from Detroit.
And what would you attribute that to?
People getting the word out, number one. And I said this, and we met just the other day down at WC3. What a fantastic presentation Barry gave to the people. It was great. I mean, even the Detroit police, Brian was really on it too. But one of the things we said was, for instance, with the shooter, that one incident brought over 900 calls into Crime Stopper with a 2 to 3 week period. We have shooters all the time in our Metro Detroit neighborhoods, and we might get 9 calls or 3 calls, and all I can say is, the more calls that are made, when you see, our motto is stand up, speak up, and stay safe. And it was created to give you a safe way to make that call and to give that information. We've got to use the tool, though. It's not a panacea, but it's a great tool for you to use if you have information
That's
on
wonderful.
a crime.
And unlike Crime Stoppers, the level of interest in the communities themselves
Yes.
to get involved,
Yes.
most families, most households
Mm-hmm.
don't see anything, don't hear anything. There's a shooting on their block, and they pull the drapes. The little baby, Delrick, last year, they unloaded for 15 minutes straight automatic weapons, 2 young guys, in the home, nonstop, and casually walked back to their car, that nonchalantly as if they had just gone to a McDonald's walking back to their car. Nobody saw anything, nobody heard anything. The brazenness
Yes.
of the the acts of these crimes,
Yes.
and for the lack of people getting involved, unlike Crime Stoppers. So it's a necessary, very, very necessary
Yes.
thing. Now, if I may just jump around a little bit.
Yes.
Now they put you in the schools. What do? You speak at all the different schools? How does this work?
Absolutely. In fact, well, here's how it works. When John brought me in, he wanted someone who could come in and inspire as well as set up.
Like
So-
he's inspiring me tonight. He's waking me up.
I hope I'm inspiring some of the
That's
people
right.
out here.
That's right.
Stand up, speak
And
up,
that's-
and call, man.
Stand up and get up.
That's right. But criminals depend on your silence.
That's right.
That's my main message.
That's
They
right.
depend on
Absolutely.
your silence condones it, and that's why it goes on and
You
on
got
and
it.
on.
You got it.
But he wanted someone who could come in and inspire, but and have a relationship. And from my coaching, I've coached for over 30 years. My son is in a D1 basketball program down at UMKC. He's 6'7", 230, and he's a senior this year. I'm going to tell you, we put over 50 in the last 3 years when I was at Ferndale. We put over 15 kids in 3 years in college. All of them didn't even play basketball, but we made sure they got to the next level because that was the expectation. Now, so what he's brought me in to do, he's allowed me to come in and revamp the whole Campus Crime Stoppers program to Project Safe Campus, because we don't just want to come in and say, hey, call, do this, do that, get a reward.
Right.
We want to come in and say, look, every kid deserves a safe campus. They deserve to, once they cross that border, if nothing else, of that school, come inside that fence, even the criminals want a safe campus. They don't want anybody coming in there and shooting them on while they're sitting in class. So every child and every parent must help provide a safe campus.
All right, so excuse me. So how are you facilitating this? Are you getting the school in the auditorium to speak to them?
Yes.
Okay. You get them in the school.
Yes.
Okay, and then you give them a program, I guess.
I got one even better.
All right. Okay. We want to tell everybody exactly how this works.
Yes, I got.
Because I want to
better.
come. I want to come and hear.
Yes.
One of your.
And
lessons.
maybe even film one.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be great. Or
okay.
I'll bring the film to you.
All right.
No, we did it one better because that's what they were doing before. And sometimes it worked. They had some of the kids do an ambassador program, and in fact, the Detroit Public Schools, the DSA, the School of Arts, did a 5-minute a DVD on the difference between snitching and community protection.
I want to get that and run it on my show.
I would certainly
as
get
soon
you
as
a copy.
possible.
As
Please.
soon as possible.
He probably
I have
wants one.
That's right. It's awesome. Now watch this. Watch this. But the biggest change between Campus Crime Stoppers and Project Safe Campus, we're working through the student council or the SAG group.
Oh my God.
We're working through the student council. Watch, you're going to love this. In our program, if a young person gives a tip on not only weapons and drugs, but arson or vandalism,
Bullying?
but also bullying. How about suicide? How about my friend was on Facebook and says that they're ready to kill themselves.
This is wonderful.
When they
That's
send
what
that
I'm
tip
talking
in,
about.
tip goes not necessarily to the police. It can go straight to the administrator, and I give them a reminder. Hey, you got this tip.
What administrator?
It can be the principal or the assistant principal, whatever the school chooses. It's kind of like a triangle. Myself, the police department, and the administration. But
God,
now,
this is wonderful.
Oh, let me tell you.
Aren't they going to go outside of Detroit as well? I mean,
yes, it's in the 7 counties. We have 12. I'm sorry, schools in the suburbs. We have Ipsy. We have John Glenn, who is one of our most effective programs out in Westland. We have Pontiac. We have Madison Heights just came on. We're going to do a program there with Lanphier coming up at the end of the month. I'll let you in on that one because it'll show you the other side. Because the great secret is Taylor wants to come in. So the great Frazier wants to come in. The great secret is that they're having these problems, and even more in some of the suburban schools, but nobody wants to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But they're having the bullying. They're having the weapons. They're having, watch this, the drug problem is even more in some of these places.
I wouldn't surprise me at all.
The pills, et cetera. It's a different problem out there. Guess what's come in some of the school districts that I've just been made aware of that have come to me? A big heroin problem in some of the schools. I don't even want to name them.
We had it when I was young.
Yes, exactly. It's come back around.
Okay, so you are an exciting live man.
Thank you,
isn't it? This man here has awakened a sleeping giant in me. Okay, but what I tell you is, when you approach these children, and they're children to me, I'm 61 years old.
Yes.
You gotta evoke a lot of inspiration. So they're sitting in the auditorium.
Yes.
You set up these classes?
Yeah, well, we set up, they can do it either just a Project Safe Campus Assembly, or how about this, or a nonviolent rally, or anti-bullying rally. So, but the secret is you use the student council, kind of like the 5 Reach 5, right? And they reach their own constituency and identify, I call it activating the activists. Because once you get them to self-identify and to step up, even though they may never say that I will ever make a call or send in a tip, at least they identify themselves on the side of somebody who wants a safe campus. Watch this. Here's the coup de grace. We convinced John to not only give the $100 to the tipster, whether they pick it up or not, and only about 40% even pick up the tips.
Excuse me, this could be somebody that tells another kid that's going to kill themselves.
Yes.
Or
bullying.
Bullying. They get $100
They get $100. If there's an action that's taken by either the police through an arrest, say it was a weapon or drugs, and the police come in and find it and actually make an arrest, that's an action. But if it's a suicide that's stopped, or a fight that's stopped, or bullying, right? If that principal takes an action, that tipster is eligible for a $100 reward. Watch this. But for promoting our poster contest and our tweet contest and coming up this spring, we're going to have Artists versus Violence, rap, song, and spoken word contest, and it's going to be judged on YouTube, and the top 10 finalists are going to go on a CD, but we're also going to have them at one of the local colleges, OCC or WCC.
Who's orchestrating all this?
Don't even say it. Do you need that? It gets fun right here. That's
all right. Listen, how can they get a hold of you? And we're going to show something from Crime Stoppers. But how can they get a hold of you in their schools, maybe even if it's out of state?
Yes.
Give them some advice, whatever, how they can contact.
Absolutely.
And
glad to send them the brief.
A quick question.
Yes.
How long is this? When did this come to fruition, this program?
This program just started when I came on board.
Before
Campus Crime Stoppers started at the end of 2009, and we just rebranded, regenerated students. It's a matching $100 for every tip in their school, up to a total of $3,000 a school.
But I want to know why I haven't heard of this.
Because we just rolled it out 2 weeks ago.
Give them your contact information and tell them what they can do to get involved in their state, their city, whatever.
You can call me at Crime Stoppers. I'm the Campus Crime Stoppers Program Manager, Tom Staten, 313-922-5000, extension 16. Call me anytime, leave a message, I'll get right back to you.
Now, Tom, there are several aspects to Crime Stoppers.
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony works with the prisons.
Yes.
You work in the schools now.
Now we have a new one.
Go ahead.
Kelly
Kelly, I thought Kelly left.
Kelly
There was a Kelly that left. She's going to law school?
No.
Okay,
That's not,
I don't know.
no,
Okay,
no.
go on.
He brought Kelly in to do the faith-based program. We have over 150 churches who have joined the faith-based program. If you go to 1-800-SpeakUp.org, you can click on the faith-based link, and you'll see the churches on that are involved with our faith-based program. It's called Stand Up, Speak Up as well. And every spring they have a monster breakfast and sign up at different levels. But she's in to do that. I'm in to do the schools. And Anthony, who is an ex-offender, is doing a wonderful
who else better to reach people? You know,
right.
I was on the streets. I'm a recovering drug addict myself.
Been there, done
Listen,
it.
if you had, God forbid, if you have cancer and you're going through chemo,
right,
and you're in the hospital waiting for your chemo treatment,
yes,
who feels what you're going through more than someone else that's lost their hair, that's been vomiting, that's going through everything else but you? Right. There's nothing more synonymous to relate from one human being, a sense of identification, than someone that's been there.
That's right.
Like you.
I have a brother-in-law who did just the same, exactly what you said at Carmano's, and it's one of the greatest parts about their program.
Okay.
They use former cancer patients. You're exactly right. We say it this way in the spiritual school. We say, I don't want to have a pastor. He can't reach me if he hasn't been at least somewhere himself.
I'd rather see a sermon and to hear one any day. I'd rather one should walk with me than just to show the way.
Now,
I forget the rest.
A testimony.
let's, if you don't mind, if we ready, we can run a DVD from Crime Stoppers for a few minutes just to illustrate how prolific the acts of violence are in our city, and what Crime Stoppers is doing about it. That's coming on right now. Wow.
His daughter misses him. She misses her father. And she asks why did they do this to him? He won't be able to see her graduate from school, go on to college. Can you imagine looking into a child's eye, hearing her say this about her father? It breaks my heart every day. And I think about it going on, and she's going on without her father. It's not right. It's not right. They had no right to kill my son. No right whatsoever. Please, someone, please come forward. Please call Crime Stoppers so they can get this person off the street. A person, please. Thank you.
Do you know who killed me? Alicia DeGreffenreid was 8 months pregnant when she was gunned down here in Detroit's Northwest Side. Now Crime Stoppers is offering a big reward to anyone who can help solve this case.
I guess how much a life goes now. You could just take somebody's life for $300.
A gruesome murder on the 19,000 block of Santa Rosa on Detroit's Northwest Side. Police say 29-year-old Alicia DeGreffenreid traveled with her boyfriend to this neighborhood to meet someone on May 14th at 4 o'clock in the morning. But something went terribly wrong.
My sister got shot in the back of her head, and he got shot multiple times in the face, then in the stomach. Then also when I got to the crime scene, the door was open, so they opened up the door and they shot my sister in her side, in her stomach.
Elisa was 8 months pregnant with a boy who would have been born just 1 month later.
We went from planning a baby shower to burying my sister.
Today, Crime Stoppers announced a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest in this case. $3,500 if you give a tip by tonight. Elisa leaves behind 2 children who are preparing to spend their first Christmas without their mother.
For our kids to come up to me and ask me, Auntie, is it going to be funny without my mom being here for Christmas? Or who going to help make the macaroni? She always believed in the Lord. So I know she's at a better place, and I know we all have to go. But it was the way that she died that kills me and my family.
And to the person who pulled the trigger, Elisa's family says this message is for you.
We stand strong, and we will not give up. We will continue on for as long as it takes.
Police say Alicia's boyfriend is not cooperating. He now tells them that he doesn't remember who he was going to meet at 4 o'clock in the morning. Alicia's family now tells me that the boyfriend also asked them to stop calling him. Anyone with information, call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-800-SPEAK-UP. On Detroit's Northwest Side, Marielle Liu, Fox 2 News.
Now that he's not here, it's a void in our family, is a void in our hearts. We miss him. We talk about him. We cry. cried, we laughed, we had many experiences with him, and we just need some closure in our family.
He was like, you know, a real good friend to have. He died trying to save someone else's life, trying to help someone else out, and we just kind of need someone to like come forward and, you know, help us out. You know, this could have happened to anybody.
I know the rules of the streets is you see and don't tell, but somewhere, someday, somehow, it has to stop. Someone has seen something, someone has heard something.
It's hard sleeping at night, just knowing that he's not there. His laughter, his smile, him being silly, him just being Cody.
Let the mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers find closure to the pain and suffering from the loss or injury of their loved ones. Crime Stoppers of Michigan is an independent, nonprofit organization that firmly believes in creating safe neighborhoods and keeping them that way. We do this by empowering citizens to help with the fight against crime. If you know of anything about a serious crime, call Crime Stoppers today. All calls are absolutely anonymous.
Please, I'm begging you, please, someone come forth and give some information that will help bring this case to close for the sake of my family and his son that misses his dad dearly.
Are you among those who believe Crime Stoppers is just another branch of the police department, the Department of Corrections, Michigan State Police, or the prosecutor's office? I used to think the same thing. Now I know it's not. Not too long ago, I was sitting right where you are, doing a 20-year bid. When I heard about Crime Stoppers, I knew they only cared about locking people up. I knew Crime Stoppers just wanted someone to snitch. I was certain they didn't care about people who called in tips being found out. Now I know what I didn't know. Crime Stoppers really does go through extreme measures to see to it that those who call in tips remain anonymous. I know because Crime Stoppers gave me, a convicted armed robber, a job, a chance to give back. Now I see how they operate with my own eyes. Even if you try to give your name, the call center located in Canada won't accept it. They will not take your name. For example, in your excitement, you might say, my next door neighbor is the guy you're looking for. He's home now. The call center will leave that out and say something like this. We just received a call stating that the guy you're looking for is at this address. They won't repeat that it's next door to the one who called in the tip. There's no recording, there's no caller ID, there's no contact with police officers, detectives, or prosecutors. It's just you and the call center. The call center, to ensure you are not identified, will provide you only a number so that Crime Stoppers recognizes you when you call again to check on the progress of your tip and to collect your reward. Only this number is needed, not your name, to collect your reward. We need your help to make the neighborhood safe by getting dangerous people off the streets. You can help with unsolved cases, the whereabouts of someone on the run, or criminal activity. Earn cash rewards and remain anonymous.
words.
My message to my dad is I love you, and I'm never going to give up fighting for you.
With a similarly sad story that has their loved ones' pictures on billboards. We'll start with Kareem Camarco. He was murdered here at the store he owned in Ferndale, November 26th of 2010. Still no closure and no telling leads. So Crime Stoppers putting up these billboards. There are 2 of them in Ferndale, strategically placed in the same area that the crime happened near. A constant reminder to someone who knows something.
First of all, I never thought I'd see my dad on a billboard. I think it's eye-catching, you know, someone maybe who knows who did this to my dad will maybe drive by and walk by that billboard and will see my dad's picture and see those words, and maybe it'll get them to say, you know what, I have to do the right thing.
Then there's the family of Daryl Smith, who was killed in Detroit on July 12th of 2011. The college student who was home taking care of his mother went out with some friends and was shot in the back. His mother, father, and family friends all hoping this billboard will help bring the killer to justice.
Tips have been coming in, so I'm praying that justice be served, because nobody has the right. Nobody has the right to take a life.
Mister every day, and people don't realize you took a sister, a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece away from our family. We don't get no phone calls anymore. Holidays are hard. Birthdays. Just imagine if this was your child, your sister, your granddaughter, and you don't get those calls anymore just to say hi. I love you. I miss you. We don't get those. And what took her away very selfishly. And she was young. She was 29. She shouldn't have been taken away so soon. I'm supposed to grow old with my sister, not bury her.
Crime Stoppers really works. We all remember this case. An 86-year-old World War II vet stopped at a local gas station on his way home from church. And there, in broad daylight, he was carjacked and beaten. Horrifying as the crime was, and horrifying as it was to watch on video as people walked past him, it has ended on a positive note. The attacker was arrested and behind bars in less than 2 weeks. It was a tip from the community, from a person like you and me, that solved the case. And that tip came through Crime Stoppers. When you call Crime Stoppers of Michigan, your call goes to a call center in Toronto, Canada. There are no caller IDs, and there are no law enforcement officers on site. The call is not recorded, and all calls remain anonymous. Your anonymous calls might save the life of another. If the crime is solved, if someone is caught that is responsible for the crime, or weapons or drugs are confiscated because of your tip, you are eligible for a reward. Reward decisions are made by the Crime Stoppers Reward Court that meets once a month. Every person who calls the tip line or submits a tip online is given a code number. If your tip leads to solving the crime, you will receive a reward. The reward amounts can range from $50 to tens of thousands of dollars for larger, unsolved crimes where the family has contributed to the reward. We urge you to call 1-800-SPEAK-UP now if you know something about these crimes.
Good morning. My name is Georgia Craig, the mother of Superior Craig, who was murdered on April the 23rd of 2009. If there is anyone out there that saw something, heard something, or seen something, I urge you to please speak up. He was my son, and he has nephews, family, and we would all like closure. So if there is someone out there that has any information on this case, would they please speak up? Call Crime Stoppers Police. We urge you. Thank you.
We need answers. Rosie and Tony will never be at peace without these answers. So please, please listen to your conscience and do the right thing. Do the right thing and call them and tell them what they did to my boy.
Overcome with grief, Lisa Puma stood before reporters today, hoping Crime Stoppers can help find her son's killer, help find whoever murdered 22-year-old Tony Velez and his girlfriend, 19-year-old Rosemary Chiz. Their bodies were found in a field on Detroit's east side less than 2 weeks ago. They were both shot many times. Tony had been tied up.
He didn't deserve this. He did not deserve this.
Stephanie was a very loving person, caring, very trustworthy. She would help anybody. She had a big smile and she had a bright future ahead of her, but because someone took her life from her now, that's no more.
It's a monster walking around our city that needs to be caught. Because he killed my niece, he'll kill your niece, he'll kill your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. No one is safe.
I'm just giving a cry out to the nation because I need all the help that I can get in finding my daughter.
It's hard being a single father, and it's hard for me to even tell him what's going on with her. And then his birthday coming up April 18th, and it's going to be the second one she went around.
Say, Mommy, we miss you.
Mommy, we miss you.
And we want you to come home.
And we want you to come home.
And we want God to bring you home.
And God to bring you home.
They were vicious and, shoot my son 8 times over a pair of glasses, which he worked every day for. He worked hard, and I think a person that works every day should be able to own anything that they would like to have. I hear people say all the time that, why did he have these glasses, and why did he have this, or why do they wear this or that? But when you work every day, you should be able to have whatever you want to have.
I don't know too much to say, but I am begging someone out there who might know something to come forward, speak up. This could have been your child, your brother, your son, of anybody. If you know anything, please come forward. There's nothing that anyone can say that can bring my son back to me, but that was my heart. My youngest son of all, we always say that that's our baby, but that's my youngest child. He was a good son, a loving son. If anybody knows something, have heard something, please come forward. Because there's nothing I can do about it. But I know I talk to the Lord every day of my life. I talk to God because vengeance belongs to Him. There's nothing we can do. Nothing can be brought. He can't be brought back to me. But I know someone knows something. The only thing I can say, this had to be someone that he really, really trusts. So please come forward. This could be your family member, your son, your brother, your father, anybody. Please come forward. I am begging you. This is hard. This has took total on my heart. And I know that it will continually keep on working with me. So, like I say, vengeance belongs to the Lord. Thank you.
Taylor Davis was a vibrant young woman that enjoyed sports. She graduated top of her class. She was valedictorian, and she turned it down because she didn't want to speak in front of a crowd.
Somebody could be so cold-hearted. Just kill 2 people this way and just walk away like they've done nothing.
Welcome back to Metro Detroit Resource Network. I have with us tonight the very special, dynamic Mr. Tom Staten.
Thank you, sir.
He runs a division of Crime Stoppers, whereas they're trying to work with the youth in all the high schools and the middle schools to get the word out to the young, because we're losing our youth. And Crime Stoppers feels they want to start going down and getting the younger young men and young ladies involved in and helping to alter their lives and putting them on a better path. So while this Crime Stoppers DVD was running, you were watching, which is beyond sick, the level of violence that's perpetrated amongst our residents in the city of Detroit. Tom and I were talking about the culture changes amongst young boys and young girls at very young ages. And we were talking about some of the incidences, infractions that are occurring with young ladies in school. And we first were talking about the story of the young girls, in 8th grade, attacking, teachers?
Yes,
Let's
slapping the teachers.
Talk about that for a minute.
Well, we're trying to push the program down further and further, and this year we're going to start with pilots. We're in the high schools, but we want to push it to the middle schools. And one of the places we were going to push it came to me and said, we've really got to get to our middle school. He said, especially my 8th grade girls. I said, what? He said, yes. He says, just the other day I was called in and there was this 8th grade girl. Yeah, but she was 14 years old and 200 pounds though. And she slapped a teacher, pulled away from 2 security guards to go jump on this little 90-pound cute little girl who she didn't like. Of course, she was suspended and everything, but what do you do in those situations? There wasn't a weapon involved and all that, but that is bullying out of control.
Excuse me, is that clear to you? She had to beat up a security guard first.
Slap the teacher.
Just to get, was she beat up the security guard first?
Yes.
She beat up the security guard to get to the teacher. Her goal was to get to the teacher, but the security guard was in her way. So, are you ready for this? So I'm sorry. I just want to make this clear.
So that she could put a beat down on this little girl that she didn't like. Now,
how's this?
And the real tragedy is, this is from the administrator. He said it's happening again and again. There's examples of some girls attacking, even sexually, some younger girls.
Raping.
You hate to even say
I'm saying it. Young girls are raping other girls, right?
Yes, and it's happening. And we know as a community that that's been happening for the past 5 to 6 years within the gang life within our communities. As there's been a tougher and tougher, move towards a tougher and tougher young lady who's coming out.
Well, the streets are dictating this.
It's dictating it.
The fathers, the daddies are gone. The level of discipline and love, the lack of love in the house.
That's right.
And a lot of these young ladies have been in and out of the juvenile system. They go to court. They pick it up from other girls.
That's right.
This is learned behavior.
From the system.
I believe you're just not born, lesbian or homosexual. It's somewhat, right?
Right.
It's somewhat adopted from your environment. You either get perpetrated on, you're getting molested at home, you're picking it up in the system, or you're getting raped.
And of course, as we found out, as a psychologist said a long time ago, it's not a sexual thing most times.
Power.
It's a power thing. So it's a way to dominate your environment totally. But anyway, so one of the things that we are trying to do is to get to these young people as soon as we can and get them some help or get them out of the system that is impacting young people and get them some help somewhere so that we can provide a safe campus for the majority of the young people.
All right, let's talk about, because you're right in the thick of this, let's talk about the proliferation now of gangs, boys and girls, and tell everybody what getting in a gang means to them, and the people that bring them into the gang are running by them to let them know how they're going to be looked after, belong to, what have you. The methodology of getting them into the gang, and then how they feel to be a part of when they don't have love in the home or whatever, or protection. I want you to talk about
You hit it right in the beginning, Barry, and this is from personal experience from years ago. When there is that absent father, for the girls it's one thing, not having that father who kind of helps them with their identity. But for the young men, now either a mother or a single mother is raising them, or no person at all is raising them. They're raising themselves. And so now the group behavior, they're attracted to that group. And everything that you said was true about how you're going to be a part of a family, a part of this culture, a part of somebody who cares about you, who's got your back. But now it goes even a step further, because as we know, most gangs are supporting themselves through the proliferation of the drug culture. So now, on top of everything else, you hold out the promise of great riches. We know there's not going to be great riches for most of these kids.
You don't get out ahead.
Thank you, especially if you're starting out as a small-time roller, serving at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, barely making it to school because you're on the streets, that type of thing. We know you're going to end up in jail or in juvie. You're going to end up shot, dead, shot by a client, shot by your own boy, or shot by the police. Most don't succeed in that environment.
There's another part that I always think about. A scenario. Mm-hmm. My dad never owned a new car. Mm-hmm. My dad's father worked at Ford, GM, or Chrysler mm-hmm. his whole life and never had a car. Mm. I'm 14 years old. Mm-hmm. My brother, who's 17, is selling drugs. He's got women hanging on him. He's got jewelry. He's got a new car.
Big car.
And he's got it going on, so to speak, what they call successful, which really isn't successful. So now I'm telling myself, forget what society says. Mm-hmm. Society tells me what society thinks success is going to college, mm-hmm. getting a degree, mm-hmm. which is square to a lot of people, and so-called becoming affluent and wealthy. But money really doesn't mean success. No. But if I just may, one more minute. So now I'm telling myself, why in the hell should I sacrifice my whole life working my you-know-what off when I can have it now? And so what? One more thing. So I'm 14. So what if I die when I'm 20? At least I can say I had it all. And you know they're walking around like this. My brother's got it now. Well, you know, he got killed. Oh, Ray got killed. Well, you know, look what he had, man. We put in a $20,000 casket in the ground.
Right. Did you see he had all his chains and everything? But I'm going to tell you, it's another piece to that. Why do we recruit the young people to go to the wars of that age? Because from 16 to 24, it's a proven psychological fact that young men feel invincible.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they die or not, it's not a concern, because they never think they're going to die. They could be in the middle of a hell of bullets.
No question. I never thought I'd live this long. Right. If I did, I would have taken better care of myself. I mean, really. It's the truth. Absolutely. I didn't take, like for kids, it was living for the day. Right. It was living for right now. Right. All there was today. Right. We grew up with one day at a time.
Right. But you know, I'm going to tell you, you talked about back when we were young. But and there has always, especially in our community, has always been an underground. There's always been the number runners. There's always been. I remember when heroin hit our community, and it changed things even then, but still it was kind of a underground. But one thing that crack and cocaine did, it brought it to the surface, where now all of a sudden neighborhoods have become burned out armed camps, where people are coming in. Every vacant house is being scoped out in order to be a future drug house, and if they don't burn it down, they're going to infest it and dare you to call the police and run them out of town.
Don't forget, we're finding dead bodies in these houses.
That's absolutely.
And we board up these houses, and they're finding young ladies that have been raped, and and gangs are hanging in these houses and partying and planning on what they're going to do to your street, your neighborhood.
Absolutely. We talk about the hangout houses. That's one of the biggest problems, and I don't care almost what school district that you're in, there is a hangout or a skip house that is there where young men and young women are going to smoke whatever, to drink whatever, because we know alcohol is still the #1 drug of choice.
And it is
among our people, among that age range, followed very closely by marijuana, but now there's a whole pill population that's coming out with parents, check your drug cabinets. Make sure you know what's in there and what's not in there, because some of your prescriptions may be missing. They're either selling them or using them.
And they don't necessarily know what they're taking. They just know they're in there.
Doesn't matter. What color is it?
Right.
Right? So, but be careful of these skip houses, because that's where a lot of the criminal activity is taking place. That's where a lot of the rapes, gang rapes, because you can say it was consensual, but if there's a young 14-year-old girl and 17 and 18-year-old guys in there, yeah, maybe she went in there expecting to be consensual with one, which is still against the law, and ends up with all of them. And can't tell a soul unless they call Crime Stoppers. Unless you call Crime Stoppers and you can leave it.
She's embarrassed. She's humiliated. Right. She's afraid.
Right. But she knows that it shouldn't have happened. Or he knows that it shouldn't have happened to him like that. So now, even if it's not the victim, even if you've seen it happen, if say you were the one there trying to stop it, you can now make that anonymous call. That's what we're here for, is to stand up, speak up, do the right thing, but by all means, stay safe.
Very good.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
You know, I'm amazed at how often there'll be a fight, or you'll hear about a fight, and the youth, the kids, are standing around cheering them on.
Yes.
Knowing that somebody could get hurt. Listen, by the way, there's 96,000 abandoned houses in the city of Detroit. I'm not counting the buildings. Our punk ass, you heard me say it, punk mayor, Dave Bing in the city of Detroit, is allowing this to happen. We've boarded up 69 houses.
Wow.
We just boarded up. It's nothing. It's almost like, I say to myself all the time, it's like taking a glass of water out of the ocean.
Right.
We just did 35 houses, 42 properties. We planted trees. We had 300 college students from Wayne State joining us over 2 weekends. It was 106 degrees.
Wow.
Myself, Minister Shabazz, and my other group, the Greater Detroit Restoration Project, well, we got 18 houses right now that are waiting to be boarded. We've had 2 elementary schools call me lately that need, and one of them's an EAA.
Right.
This other school is an EAA, and we didn't know it. And Tyrone Winfrey came out, and John
Covington.
John Covington actually came out and to congratulate us. And Tyrone Winfrey came out the last day to help us restack the wood.
Wow.
He knows me and he knows Minister Shabazz.
Wow.
But check this out. This is the greatest. All the trash, all the debris from the cut-up wood, the brush, the debris that we had to stack in front of the houses, laid there for almost 3 months. And we had 4 dumpsters. Goodness. They left one of the dumpsters. Malik called the city of Detroit almost every day for 2 months. They didn't come. He called Charlie LaDuff. Charlie LaDuff, you wouldn't believe this, got Bob Ficano, the executive Wayne County commissioner, who's got more charges going on than you can throw a stick at, brought out 5 dump trucks and a mulcher, and we cleaned up everything. And if it weren't for him, it would still be sitting there. The city of Detroit has garbage and debris. You know, they got bulk pickup.
Yes.
Every 2 or 3 months. So there'll be a couch. There's couches on the street. There's toilets. I don't mean seats. There's physical toilets. The trash. Have you driven around?
Yeah.
You know what's going on?
I am on the east side.
Okay,
That's where our offices are.
You know.
I'm on Harper and Gratiot.
How sick is what's going on? The level of trash. Babies are going to school, on their way to school, playing in the trash. I played in the dirt, but I'm talking about they're playing where condoms, used condoms, where needles could be, spikes, needles, syringes.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And some might say that you're overreacting or overhyping. No, I'm seeing it I drive the community every day for lunch because I have to constantly remind myself why I am here.
You're great.
Why I am here.
Let's talk about, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We got 5 minutes, and I'll let you take. How about the lighting system? There are, listen, I had someone from the lighting department on my show. 86,000 streetlights in Detroit. 60% of them are out. Now listen, this isn't a money issue. They have robbed the copper out of the bottom of the lights that they put these plastic security guards on. And not only that, the systems are mercury vapor that are outdated and antiquated that they don't even make parts for. So this is wonderful. And then one more thing, I'm going to give it to you. In Highland Park, the last mayor owed $4 million to DTE. They were on his neck. They were calling him. He couldn't make good. He says, "I'll tell you what. Come on to Highland Park and snatch these lights up. I'm going to give you 1,500 street lights."
Wow.
And that's why they don't have street lights.
Wow.
1,500 street lights. We have dumb morons in our government that are not there for the city. That's why community activists, neighbors, residents have to take a part in changing the city ourselves in a nonviolent manner.
That's right.
In a nonviolent manner.
You got to activate the activists and give them concrete ways to help.
Thank you.
One of the greatest things that was said the other day at the WC3 at Arise Detroit Safety Summit was, hey man, there's a level of apathy here. This room should have been filled to overflowing in standing room only.
Public safety room.
Public safety. You had the police department. You had people there who had solutions for you. Pastors who had solutions that was working. People who had boarded up 70, 100 houses. By the way, I was one of the initiators of Paint the Town way back in the day. Detroit Edison. I spent 18 years at Detroit Edison.
Wow.
So I know that what you were speaking about is the truth. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. But there's a level of apathy that we have to overcome. And it's almost down to a each one reach one situation.
You know why this apathy exists? Because they've been beat down with lies and fraud and deceit for so long, and they're sick and tired of hearing the lies in the government because the cavalry ain't coming, y'all. The cavalry is not coming to save the people that live in our city.
Yes.
So they ain't falling for it.
Unless you're in certain areas.
Yeah, Marvin Winans. Marvin Winans, one of the biggest, most prestigious. He presided at Whitney Houston's funeral.
Yeah.
So you know he's big. They brought him in from Detroit. He was very close to Whitney. He got robbed at a gas station, knowing he probably shouldn't have been at this gas station. But he gets robbed. They hurt him. 4 or 5 young guys beat him up, attacked him. Guess how long it took to find these guys? 2 days. I get murdered in Detroit, and they have no clue. They wouldn't be out for me. High-profile people.
Right. Can I back you up on that one? Watch this. We got dozens of tips on the Marvin Winans situation. One of our tips led to the discovery of the car. But how many tips would we have gotten on your homicide?
Right. I was dead once. I forgot to tell you.
Oh man. But you know what?
Lazarus.
It's just what you're saying though. You know, people have been beaten down. In fact, that's what we heard even Saturday. We couldn't get finished quick enough. The people were just begging to get
burgeoning
to
questions.
All had questions for the police. How come you won't come? How come you won't talk to us? How come when we call you're not there? What is it? And I don't know if he ever answered those questions.
You are correct. Listen, we got a minute, two. I want you to give them your info again, and real quick, and then I'll close it out and give them a little bit about me. Take it away.
Okay.
Tell them your name again, how they get a hold of your website, everything.
I'm at Crime Stoppers. I'm over on the east side. My name is Tom State. East side of Detroit. That's right. My name is Tom State, and I'm the program manager for Campus Crime Stoppers, the Project Safe Campus Initiative. My number is 313-922-5000, extension 16. That's 313-922-5000, extension 16. Call me anytime. I'll get right back to you.
This man is putting together the programs in all the high schools in Detroit and the suburbs to bring it to the young people from the 8th grade up?
Yeah, well, right now from the 8th grade
Yeah, it's going to go younger eventually.
Yes, we're going to move it all the way down to the elementaries, but we're not going to give them money. But we're going to get them on the right side.
The one thing I forgot to talk about, and we're running short, is the marijuana today that these young guys and young ladies are smoking is not the same when I used to smoke it. They're treating this stuff with elephant tranquilizer, far out chemicals that are not really associated with the raising of the crop of marijuana. And I gotta believe this is the reason for some of this craziness going on. Some of these crimes are way beyond the norm. We've had a proliferation of insane, heinous, sick crimes that are different. I know as we evolve, as a race, the human race, we're supposed to be getting better. We're getting better in terms of getting worse crimes.
Wow.
I mean,
I think the spice and the kush and all that has something to do with
maybe
it as
something
well,
in the kush.
Yeah.
There's got to be something drug related in some of the natures of these crimes.
Yeah.
You don't go out and rape a 90-year-old woman in a wheelchair at 15 years old. That's not too attractive to me. As off the wall as my friends and I was when I was 15, we weren't looking at 90-year-old women. And that was not, this has been not a rare occurrence.
No.
There were 2 or 3 women, that's how the Detroit 300 started, Petoskey,
Yes.
Petoskey in the 10th precinct.
Yes.
That were in their late 80s. There was a lady that was 87 that hired 2 young guys to rake her lawn. I was out with the 300 dealers. They went to get paid. They cleaned up this lawn. It was immaculate. There wasn't a leaf left on the lawn. They went to the house, had the hoodies on, nothing against hoodies, but the hoodies on, knocked on the door, and one looked at the other boy and the other one, he said, you know what, let's take her out. So they dragged her and threw her down the steps of the basement, and then the woman behind her, same thing, except they beat her to death with a shovel. So now they're getting what they want, but they're killing you anyway, and they're not killing you nicely.
No.
Brutal murders. All right, listen, my name is Barry Ross. This station is itswebtv.com. I encourage you to get involved in this station here in Southfield, Michigan. Anybody can get a show here. It's Web TV. The call-in number for the show is 248-996-8954. Should they call this number in the event that they want to talk to the office? Okay, 248-996-8954. Sponsorship is available here through me, through the station, your own shows, what have you. I am Barry Ross from the Metro Detroit Resource Network. And I'm on Facebook. I have a website, and you want to get involved. And this man here might have a show here, because I am. I thought I was just going to have some little calm show tonight. I'm very proud of the show tonight. I'm very proud. Yeah. So everybody stay safe, get involved in your community, and peace out. Till next week.
Peace.
996-8954. And that's the Win with Attorney Quinn show. Your question will be answered live by me. That's itswebtv.com.